Sacred geometry. There's sacred geometry everywhere on the slides, by the way. I love it. Perspectives on social responsibility. So the next thing is there are just two views. Now we're kind of moving towards the idea of sustainability and CSR, corporate social responsibility. So believe it or not, companies invest hundreds of thousands of, maybe even millions of dollars per year on what they call corporate social responsibility and what you've probably heard of as sustainability. Even in the repository for the challenge number 1, I give you the example of Starbucks that's investing $10 million in trying to kind of start to fix the problem of disposable cup waste. And hopefully we can talk about how that's relative to this class in a few minutes. The idea of corporate social responsibility is that it should obligate organizations to act in ways that both serve the interests of their shareholders and the interests of society at large. Trying to find kind of a balance. What are stakeholders? Hopefully you know that by now it's not somebody holding a stake. It's somebody that is holding a piece that has some type of holds a piece of the pie of the organization, or somehow is implicated by the organization's actions. These can be employees, customers, suppliers, owners, competitors, regulators, and other interest groups. So we've covered this in our chapter 2 of the course, and you did a couple of exercises around it. Some perspectives on social responsibility. There's a classical view that management's only responsibility is to maximize profits. Like the gentleman mentioned, which I don't remember your name. Svi. You've already emailed me, I think, once early on in the semester. Just because now your name is very special. Well, I know one. Anyways, it's special to me. Special to me. Now I will never forget your name, though. So you're safe. So the classical view is that, management's responsibility is to maximize profits. That's it. Right? Shareholders care about profits. The management's objective, I have to keep standing on the laptop. Management's perspective is to maximize profits. But the new view on social responsibility is that there are other elements that have to be considered. You may have heard of the triple bottom line, kind of that buzzword of people, planet, profit. Well, that management should be considered with social welfare, not just profits. So looking at social welfare, that means that we're talking about the people, the society involved, the ecosystem, the environment, as well as the profits. But again, if it does not make money, it's very unlikely that an organization will go after it. And that's why when you make, it's later on, but when you make a pitch to a company like Tim Hortons, you can't go in there and saying, save the planet, like cups are destroying things. They're going to tell you to basically get out of their office. I don't care about the planet. Show me how it's going to save me money. Show me how it's going to make me money. It's a bit of an extreme, but the reality is that even these CSR budgets that are allocated towards sustainable development and corporate social responsibility, they're actually most of the times a redistribution of a marketing budget. Okay? So a lot of these corporate social responsibility things, a lot of times, are marketing, right? And I think most of you would realize that by now, but it's essentially it's part of their marketing campaign is to create positive buzz, positive energy around what they're doing, and maybe to distract us from some of the atrocities that are going on as well. And that's kind of my beef with social responsibility and CSR in general. Take a large organization that for its entire existence has done things one way and is doing things in a way that maximize profit. Right? Organization has momentum, has cultural momentum. Right? You can't just overnight snap your fingers and say, we're sustainable now. Right? It's something that takes a lot of time. And more than just time, it takes a significant change in philosophy of every single employee. Just like, again, I'll make a link to the cup problem. Just like you can't just make a change and everybody's going to stop using disposable cups. It's a change that is going to have to occur on the individual basis of students at Concordia and in their purchasing behavior, purchasing patterns. So If a company, for example, maybe like Patagonia, which I don't know too much about, but I know a lot of smaller companies, but if there's a company that starts off from the very beginning, from the very foundation of its core, starts off with certain principles that are based on the triple bottom line, people, planet, profit, right? And these are core tenets to the organization, then I believe that's where you can have true CSR, true sustainability. But if you're a huge company like Walmart, even if you spend millions of dollars on CSR, on sustainability campaigns, sure, it's doing a little bit better. For sure, it's doing a little bit better, but you'll never really push the envelope. You're just going to be doing, the minimum that needs to get done to avoid some of these PR disaster fire things, right? That's kind of my beef on CSR, but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily what you may think it is, unless the company itself started as a company that truly cares about the social welfare. So some strategies to pursue the social responsibility. You have basically 4 levels. Obstructionist, which basically just meets the economic responsibility. That's kind of the classical view. Defensive, so that just meets the economical and legal responsibilities. So just basically baseline, you're right. When the law changes, you're just changing with the law. Accommodative, it meets legal, economic, legal, and ethical responsibilities. So maybe a little bit more than that, but pushing one step further. And finally, proactive, which not only meets the first 3, but also looks at some discretionary responsibilities. The idea is that if you're proactive, right, it could be a competitive advantage over other organizations. If I'm proactive, I can be recognized as a company that's proactive in certain areas. If the law changes, I will be ahead of the curve. I will have developed certain technologies, certain procedures that it'll take companies many years to learn. But again, typically it costs money to do this, and the reward isn't always there unless it's an integral part of the corporation. Most companies are going to take the defensive approach because that's the one that costs typically the least amount of money. And I have an example, but I'm not going to talk about it, so we'll just skip by that. Sorry? No?
Okay.
No, it's okay. I thought you asked me a question. So some of the benefits of sustainability. So sustainability, it's the development that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, blah, blah, blah. The way that I see sustainability, it's a much more broader term, and it comes from my background in biology, which is internalizing externalities. Really simple. Every organization, whenever you're doing business, there's a lot of externalities. So for example, when I buy this phone or this piece of technology, right, I am externalizing the cost of maybe some young kid working in dangerous conditions. That externalized. The cost of this kid's health is not included in my phone, cost of my phone. That's an externality. So to me, true sustainability is being able to internalize these costs into what I'm actually paying for the phone. That's my definition of sustainability. But the broad one is really the one that is kind of vague, is the one that basically, meeting present needs without compromising the future needs. But really, it's much more than that.